I currently have 16 hours, 42 games played, and 30 wins. Not bad. Really liking some good old Chimera, of course. And what might be my favorite hero is Adele. Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Krashy, and today we're going to talk a little bit about why I quit Predecessor, why I'm playing Paragon the Overprime, and well, what the hell is going on. So, the funny thing is that I'm doing this live while I'm playing, not live, but like while I'm playing the game, so I'm gonna have to take intermittent pauses, is that, you know, people often get my real off-the-cuff criticism and feedback and thoughts in kind of like my real time where I'm being super upset or loud or whatever the case may be. And, you know, that's fine. It really is. I think it's totally fine. But they don't actually ever get the time to hear what I have to say in a more quiet and calm perspective, which usually takes me wanting to be in the headspace for that, you know, where I don't always want to be, you know, censoring myself or talking in a way that I think is, you know, diplomatic. I just kind of want to say whatever I want. So that's what this video is going to be. And it's going to be my opportunity to, you know, say what I want to say in a calm way, but still be, you know, serious about it and explain my point. So why did I quit Predecessor? Well, I quit Predecessor, but it's not like a forever permanently thing. And now people are going to say, oh, he's waffling. It's like, no, you just have an expectation of what me saying I quit Predecessor means. I am on an indefinite hiatus pending some changes. So what does that mean? It means that I'm willing to play Predecessor again, but I actually want them to do some things. And it's not like I'm holding them hostage. I just am choosing not to spend my time on the game the same way that if you're still playing Predecessor, then you should be choosing to spend your time on the game. And if you're no longer playing Predecessor, you're choosing to also not spend your time on the game. And all of these things are fine, right? All of these things are fine because everybody can do whatever they want. And if you enjoy Predecessor, I urge that you keep playing it because I think that that's awesome. But here's what I'm looking for. Essentially, or here's what I'm upset with. I think we'll start there. Essentially, I'm just not happy with the decisions that Omega Studios is taking with the game. I think that, you know, after 11 months, I'm very displeased with the progress that the game has made. I'm displeased with the way that feedback has been handled or implemented. I'm displeased with the way that they have, you know, promised things and under-delivered. I'm displeased with the systems that they put in the game, the business model of the game. I'm pretty much just displeased with, you know, most of the game. And I think where that comes from is kind of a lack of setting expectations from the developers themselves, and a little bit of expectations from myself. So yeah, I definitely have expectations. I have things that I would like to see them achieve, but also, you know, there are things that they say that they're going to do. There are things that they, you know, say that they're going to try to achieve, and then they just continue to miss the mark. And I think that that definitely has an impact on the perception of the game, the perception of them as a studio, and the way that we engage with the game. So for me personally, you know, I'm the kind of the nail in the coffin, the straw that broke the camel's back, is the affinity system and the contract system. If y'all remember when they announced the contract system, or whenever the contract system was kind of like a big hot topic for a bit there, I was very vocal about how the issue with the contract system, and I'm not going to dive into both of these discussions too much because that would take, you know, 2 full videos on their own. But the issue with the contract system is that it removes player choice, and there is a negative side to it, a very clear negative side to it, that is just worse than that of a free-to-play currency. A free-to-play currency, for all intents and purposes, would achieve the same goal better, would be able to be more used and widespread in other systems, like content delivery with skins and profile banners and yada yada yada, and it just ultimately is a worse system to implement the contract system knowingly over that of a free-to-play currency. This is one of those things that, you know, I speak with a lot of authority, and I say this is absolutely the truth. You know, it's provable, it's objectively true, and it is. It's objectively true that a free-to-play currency would just serve the game and its players better than a contract system would. In fact, so much so that, again, a game like Valorant removed their contract system and added a free-to-play currency system instead. So it's just one of those things that's a little bit annoying to see that decision go through, and to see that decision kind of be doubled down on and not changed, whenever, you know, we have like some pretty good information to say, you know what, that system's just not very good. All right, let's see if I can do anything here. Let's see if I can do anything here. I might have to peel on the Fae support. Okay. All right, I'm gonna tax a little bit here. So yeah, free-to-play currency would definitely do wonders for a game like this, because it's good. It's a good system that I think deserves to be had in the game. It's something that gives players something to grind for their time. It's something that they can use to unlock content, but in this scenario, more specifically heroes. Now, secondly, is the affinity system. The affinity system is inherently greedy. The way that it's been implemented into Predecessor, the fact that it has a paid and a free track, it is inherently greedy. Now, here's the thing. Let's not confuse the issue with the affinity system with the normalcy of a battle pass. A normal battle pass is something that sits above the game. It's additional content. You can take advantage of FOMO, or fear of missing out, through a specific time window of when the battle pass is actually available to be purchased and earned. And yeah, sometimes they even come with an experience boost if you pay for the premium side of it. I think that that's fine. I think that the issue with the current system that we have with Affinity is that it's not something that sits on top of the entire game. It's something that is deeply rooted inside of every single match, because it is tied to heroes. Now, having it tied to heroes and having a 30% experience boost on the paid version is the problem whenever you make it paid. So 30% experience boost paid essentially is devaluing anybody who doesn't pay their time. It takes 30% time away from them if you don't pay. And the system launched without the tokens. The system, it locks you into playing whatever hero you actually do have on the paid track if you want to be efficient, which, I mean, a lot of people do want to be efficient. And while I can argue, or I can agree that some people probably won't care, they're just going to play, it doesn't really matter. There probably will be people like myself, and there are people that do care. We do care about the fact that, like, the system, in order to be efficient with it and in order for it to really engage with us, requires us to spend money in order to not only unlock all the content, but to feel like our time isn't being devalued. And you can try to disagree with that, but again, there's not really a way to, because when you don't spend money, your time is actually 30% less valuable. And even when you do spend money, it pigeonholes you into playing only the characters whose affinity you actually have. So it's definitely a tricky situation where they want to monetize the system, and they believe that it's the right thing to do to monetize the system a little bit, but the system actually is just bad when you do such. And so personally, I think that the other pitfall behind that is that you don't need to monetize that system. That system would have been a really, really great system to release to the player base as a nod and a thank you for playing their game, and could have been a phenomenal way to grow a lot of trust with the community, and really deliver some content, finally deliver some content that the community really could appreciate. All right, I'm in farming mode. Let's go gank this thing now. Adele goes in, like that. All right, he's gonna dash. Well done. Well done. So yeah, the system, it could have been a great opportunity for a meta to say, hey, thank you so much for playing our game. We really appreciate you. And in return for all your time and for the time that you're going to spend in our game, here is a reward. And that would have been a phenomenal thing. But instead, they found a way to monetize it. Now, some of the arguments that come out of that is like, oh, well, they're a dev studio, they need to make money, yada, yada, yada. And I agree. I really do. But I just don't think that you need to monetize every single part of your game. A lot of sections of the game can be monetized. The majority of things that you put in the game, the content, especially additional content like cosmetics, can be monetized, and I think that that's totally fine. But the reality is that if you want to make money in your game, then you can use your shop, which is a one-to-one money-making system. You put content in there for currency, people buy the currency, they buy the content, and if you want to try to retain players, then you also need to deliver them good systems. And systems like the Affinity system are not the only good systems that you can deliver for retention. You can deliver a ranked mode, you can deliver quests and things that, daily and weekly challenges that keep people engaged, and all of these things are things that need to be done. And yes, I know that Predecessor is early access and they haven't, they're not finished, they're not done, and they will continue to implement some of these systems, but I'm judging the game on where it is now and how it feels to play the game now, and this is kind of what comes up with it. I'm gonna have to ultimate here. No, oh my goodness. Cool. Well, I'm gonna read this buff I mean, I do have my ultimate, so it doesn't really matter. Come here. Come here. Come here. Oh, she feels bad. She is not happy. She is not happy with that. We'll pop the ultimate. So, in short, I think that Predecessor is just not making the right decisions when running this game. Or Predecessor. Ometa not running the game well. I think that they are confused about the direction that they're taking the game, both from a design standpoint and from a business standpoint. And, you know, while I love the game, I just am in a position where I can't really support it anymore. And I'll explain indefinite hiatus again, because I haven't quite gotten to that part yet. There are other reasons as well. You know, one of the bigger complaints in Predecessor is people really want to see map changes, and they've only ever iterated on the map like once. It just feels a lot of the time with Predecessor that, yes, we know they're looking at our feedback, and yes, we know that they're considering our feedback, but when you go months and months and months delivering feedback and never actually seeing a return on those you know, shared sentiments of things that you want them to change, it just starts to feel bad. It starts to feel like, okay, this developer doesn't listen, this developer doesn't care, this developer doesn't do anything, and that really is a true sentiment that is shared within the community, where it just kind of feels like they don't care about our feedback. It kind of feels like they don't care about the early access player base at all. It just kind of feels like the only thing they care about is getting the game on console, getting the game to free to play, having like a Hail Mary moment, and, you know, moving forward despite whatever may or may not happen to the early access player base. And it can definitely be a frustrating feeling whenever you've invested so much time in the game and you want to be a part of this process, but it feels like you just can't be. Because there's just not a game for you to play that you're happy with. So personally, that's just kind of where I'm at with the game, with some of the issues, with some of the ways that I feel about it. And yeah. Alright. Get some of that farm there. Oh, I might have overstayed. Let's see if I can get out of here. Good old sprint mode. Not a huge fan of it, but we appreciate it whenever it's necessary. So let's talk about my indefinite hiatus. So my indefinite hiatus is me taking an extended break, but I never said I was going to quit the game permanently. I'm just quitting it, like, in terms of gameplay for the time being. With my indefinite hiatus, I am still going to talk about the game. I'm still going to give my opinions on the game. I'm still going to have my shared interest, which is I love Predecessor and I want nothing but the best for it. I'm just not going to play it. I'm not going to play the game right now. And so what could they do? People ask me, what could they do to get you to play it? Well, there's two ways I could look at that. I think that they could get me to play Predecessor if they change the affinity system and make it free, if they remove the contract system and add a free-to-play currency, or if we got much closer to free-to-play release and ranked release. Those are all the things that I'm, like, really pressed about, right? Like, in order for me to play a game, I personally want ranked, and while I'm, you know, it may not be the best time in the world to have a ranked system in the game right now, I think doing things like a weekend rank test or one night a week rank test to test their systems and to, you know, kind of gauge the way that their own systems and the way that the community would play the game could work would be an important thing to do. And that's the thing with Predecessor. And again, it just feels like they don't really do anything. It feels like they don't really try things. Ooh, I probably should not have jumped there. Yeah. So it feels like they don't really try things, and like I said, it's just a bad feeling whenever you feel like you really love the game and it's hard to keep wanting to play it. I think I killed this guy. Yeah. So, you know, I would love to see them just throw in some map changes with, you know, just to see how they feel. I would love to see them you know, try out some of the systems, or, you know, add a bunch more verticality, give Sevarog the ability to dash upward, Shinbi the ability to dash upward. Like, that's the thing. It's early access, and I think now is the perfect time to test things out, and it feels like they just never test things. And I think that that's to the detriment of the game, on top of the fact that they have systems that I also believe are to the detriment to the game, because they are not player-friendly systems. The contract system, the affinity system, while they do deliver content for free, they don't do it in a way that is more player friendly than the ways that I've explained. As far as affinity, like, you know, to say that the affinity system should be free, again, it's not that I just want everything for free, but if they want to make money, I would love to see them sell more content. And if they want to have systems that restore faith and build trust with the player base and invest in the player base just because we're playing, free affinity system is a perfect way to do that. It's a perfect way to say thank you to the player base for playing the game and to have them support your game further, because of the fact that you'd be giving us something for free, you would be respecting our time, you wouldn't be devaluing our time with a 30% paid boost, and it would just feel like a mutually beneficial scenario where we play your game more, and then hopefully, you know, that can pay dividends by having us become investing players in the shop later. Again, you have to sell content for that to happen, and then we would, you know, feel really respected and appreciate the fact that you delivered a system that was very player friendly. So yeah, indefinite hiatus, those are some of the things that will bring me back, absolutely. If free-to-play gets announced tomorrow, if ranked gets announced tomorrow, I'll come play, because I already know that I'm invested in Predecessor. I'm very much so, like, excited about the potential future of the game, and while I think that currently Omega Studios is just missing the mark, they're missing the plot, they are, you know, being a little too greedy with their implementations, they're too slow, maybe too afraid to make changes, all of these potential issues, I do still see the potential of the game. I do still see a scenario where Omega Studios can dethrone Smite, for example. I still see a scenario where Predecessor can be a phenomenal game, and I've always wanted to help actualize that with my opinions and with my experience as a player. And yeah, I get loud and obnoxious, and I totally get that. And one thing I've learned in all of my time creating content and being on the internet is that you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea with the way that you do things. So just do things the way that you want. And you know, I can even agree that, you know, even being the way that I am is maybe a little counterproductive to my goal, which is to, you know, give feedback and have them hear it and to try to enact change in the game. And I totally get that, but I am who I am. You know, I don't want to try to change anybody, and I'm not going to change myself personally. And maybe that's selfish, right? Maybe that's selfish. If I have a platform and I have a voice, maybe the player base deserves more from me to actually deliver my thoughts in a better way. But unfortunately, maybe I'm a failure on that note. I don't know. I've been really farming a lot this game, and we are incredibly fed, so that's pretty awesome. I just realized they have a player that has no items or something along those lines, and that's not good. But yeah, that's more or less my thoughts. I'll probably just continue to play this game out. I'm trying to think if there's just anything else. It really just feels like the inaction of Omega leads the game to a feeling of staleness. They've slowed down the production of heroes. I mean, there's so many points that I think that over the last 8 months have just been so detrimental to the game. You know, I think focusing on console is a risky strategy, because you're going to release you know, your game, even if it's early access release, you're going to release your game to a new player base, and I think that they will engage with the game and be happy with the game for a bit, and then the same issues that are issues in the game currently will continue to arise. Those same issues will continue to roll themselves and cycle themselves back up, because the issues are not fixed when you add more players. Adding more players just exposes more players to the issues. So we'll see how that goes. And I do think that that's an important note. Like, I don't think console is going to do anything for this game, or for Predecessor. You know, adding console player base is just going to add more players for a time, but I don't actually think that it's going to do very much of anything. And so, like I said, we'll have to wait and see. Let me see if I can get in on this fight. Yeah, they're doing well. Yeah, it's not really going to do much of anything, but we'll see. We'll see what it does. We'll probably just start progressing this games with Spirit and Prime. Still sick. Still got the bronchitis. But we're doing our best. Doing our best out here. And we're grinding, man. We're grinding some over Prime. Gonna work my way toward ranked. I really like the game, actually. I'm pretty surprised. I guess I can give some of my thoughts on Overprime. Pretty surprised that I like the game as much as I do. It's been a bit refreshing, and it definitely has its issues. Maybe I'll make a follow-up video on that at some point. But the game's a fun one, so. And you know, I guess another thing I'll say about Predecessor is it's not my goal to persuade people to stop playing Predecessor. It's not my goal to say like, oh, the game's dead. No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that the game is dead. I do, in a light, I do believe that Predecessor is dying. I think that it's making decisions that will continue to lead to the game having an obscure and small player base and being like a really niche community of people that just love the game and want to see it succeed, as opposed to actually ever finding some version of growth for itself. And so yeah, that's definitely a concern of mine, where I would love to just see the game actually you know, grow and make changes that I think are for the betterment of the player base and retain players. I don't think this guy can fight me. Oh, Feng Mao, let's have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. Hello, Adele. Cool. Cool. Alright, well, Prime is up. I'm gonna base and try to get them to go to Prime. If I can. And I'm just kind of like arbitrarily building some tank items because I don't really know what I'm interested in building at the moment. Alright, let's see if we can get them over to Prime. But yeah, I'm like almost level 9. Actually, I think this game will make my account level 9, and then I'll have one more level until I can start playing ranked. And I'm excited. I'm excited to play more over Prime. So all of that said, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. I'm trying to think if there's just like more that I want to cover about Predecessor. I mean, I really think it's just it's been mostly covered. Like there's a lot about what they do that I'm pretty displeased with, and I think that there is, I mean, I guess I could talk a little bit about the criticisms, right? I could talk a little bit about the criticisms, so let's do that. There's a sentiment of like, if you don't enjoy the game, quit. And I agree with that sentiment. The problem with that sentiment is that it kind of proves one of my issues with Predecessor, or it kind of proves one of the main things with Predecessor, which is when you tell someone that if they don't like the game that they should quit, you are actively accepting the fact that the game has poor retention, because that's what that is, right? A game not allowing, like a game not making someone have fun and then them leaving, that is bad retention. That's a player leaving the game. So that's, you know, that's what that is. So I don't think that anybody actually wants me to quit. I just don't think that they like the way I talk about things or that I say things at all. And it's kind of a fallacy to tell me to quit. Like it's not what you want. You're just doing it because you don't really have an argument. Now, the only actual argument that people can actually give and deliver about my perspective and Predecessor is the game's early access. And that's a valid argument. I think whenever a game is in early access, they afford themselves a little bit of time and leniency to create the project and to try to get the project where it needs to be. But, you know, and it's a subjective amount of time, but that amount of time cannot be forever. I think that at some point you have to start saying like, okay, this is the project. It's been X amount of months or X amount of time. You know, what's going on here? And for me, that, you know, was around that, you know, 11-month mark where it just feels like now after so much time, nothing's changed. And for some of y'all, maybe it's like 2 years. But, you know, that's a bit of a subjective experience where you can choose to be happy or unhappy with the game and then ultimately decide if you do or don't want to stay. So for right now, it's not just that I'm displeased with the speed of development. It's not that I'm just displeased with the lack of changes they've made, but I'm also displeased with the systems that I think are not going anywhere. And those systems I think will be to the detriment of the game, and I'm not a fan of that. So friends, that's why I'm playing over Prime. That's why I'm no longer playing Predecessor. I appreciate you for watching. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. I know, I'm just complaining and whining, right? But I love the game. I hope nothing but the best for it, but I think that if it wants the best, it needs to change. So, as always, be sure to be kind to one another. Tell someone you love them, and I'll see you on the next video.